everyone. We want to welcome you today to the We Are Flora Pearl podcast. I am your host, Latasha J. Humphrey. In a moment, we're going to jump into this phenomenal podcast today. But before we get started, we want to let our audience know that this podcast is being brought to you by the Flora Pearl Foundation, where our vision is bridging the gap, building a legacy. Our mission is that we are a 501c3 community-focused nonprofit mentoring organization, building healthy relationships and partnerships between women and girls through education, community service, networking, unification, and career planning. Our inspiration is Flora Pearl Humphrey. She was my paternal grandmother, and what she taught me and my family was about faith, family, and community. And that is where I draw my inspiration from. Now, audience, I have the pleasure to introduce to you one of my sister friends. From the first time that we met, we actually had a conversation and we just clicked. She is a fabulous host, for those of you who don't know, and we were blessed to have her host one of our Matters of the Heart events. This woman has a beautiful spirit and humor to match it. She is very attentive and calculated, and she is big on supporting other women, and that is truly amazing. I have a lot of love for her, and I am proud to have her with us today. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Tan Alexander. Hi, Tan. How are you doing?
I am absolutely wonderful. How are you?
I am excellent. It is such an honor to have you with us today. And if you would just briefly go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Fantastic. Thank you, first of all, for having me. I'm Tan Alexander, JD. The JD just means that I went to school for a long time. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I've been married. I'm celebrating 19 years of marriage. That's amazing in and of itself. And we have two sons, 15 and 10, and they are equally amazing in their own respects. And I've owned my business now for over 14 years, and so I'm super excited about being here and being part of the podcast today.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, we're going to jump right into the Mary Kay. And so all of us, of course, who know you, we understand that you have a love for your Mary Kay. And I personally am familiar with the God Family Career, just kind of you all's motto. And I wanted to know, when did you start your love for Mary Kay, kind of that Mary Kay journey? And, and why did you do it?
That's a great question. Well, I always start off by telling people I was the least likely person in the entire world to ever consider a business such as this, and certainly Mary Kay of all things. Right. Who ever wanted to drive a pink Cadillac, right? So, at any rate, I really firmly believe that God has a plan for you, and when you give your life to Him, that He will do things and orchestrate things even when you don't even know it's happening. So, the short version of it is that I got the introduction to the product and an introduction from who would then become my sales director. Well, I instantly loved the product, but me being me, I couldn't let her know that I was totally sold on the product because, they're super excited people. Those Mary Kay people, they just laugh and happy all the time. So I knew she would be all over me. And so I was reserved and but I was really impressed with the product because I needed something for my skin and I needed something to match my skin tone. And being a woman of color, that was pretty difficult to find at that time. Again, it was 14 years ago. And so she started telling me about the fabulous life of Mary Kay and all the money and all these, and nothing struck a chord, not one thing, except when she talked about the tax advantages. Oh. And at the time we were having this conversation, it was in February of that year, and I had just had my friendly discussion with the IRS. So when she started talking about the tax advantages, she had my ear and my attention. So I started, and just the way that I am, when I invest in something, I do go to a few sessions to figure out what was going to happen. I was determined not to like these ladies, not to get sucked in. And before you know it, I was running around with crowns on my head, boas on my neck, clapping and singing the Mary Kay Enthusiasm song. So one of the things that made the biggest difference for me was just that the camaraderie, the true sisterhood, the true togetherness, working together for a goal. I'm a team-oriented person by nature. I mean, you give me a team to work with and a charge and a challenge to go after, and I am 110% all in. So that is how it started. And then as I started building my own team and my own customers, and I got to see the phenomenal impact that the company could make and the history behind it being started by a woman, and just seeing women's lives change completely, not just financially, but socially, their own self-esteem just growing. It was just phenomenal to see God's work right in front of my eyes. And then the fact that the company, as you mentioned, is God first, family second, and career third. I mean, what better priority is than that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you and kind of move into as it relates to skincare, and just if you could kind of share some tips though, with the audience about maintaining skincare and just maintaining the healthiness of your skin.
Absolutely. One of the first things is something that we all know. Number one, you've got to get your vitamin D in, okay? You've got to go outside, get into the sun, get your vitamins. And then the second thing is drinking lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of water. Now, those are the natural things that any of us girls can do. Doesn't cost us a brown penny. Now, as we age, we do want to make sure that we maintain and even start out earlier rather than later in maintaining a simple basic skincare regimen. And that usually includes a deep cleanser of some sort, whether you have oily skin or dry or somewhere in between, a moisturizer, and then it definitely includes those supplemental products. I get to celebrate my 40th birthday on Wednesday, and so I'm picking apart my own skin and looking like, okay, maybe we need to amp it up here under the eye cream and whatnot. But those are supplements that help to maintain that skin and just being consistent with that morning and night. And I really don't look at it as just skincare. I look at it as making an investment in you. So those are my biggest tips for maintaining your skincare system.
Okay, all right. So pretty much, so I got just a recap of that. So pretty much, the water, like you said, the water, the vitamin D, but kind of having those, just those steps after in doing that. Just
Absolutely. Keep it simple for yourself so that you can be consistent with it.
Okay.
There are tons of great systems out there, and we sell our sets on purpose because they all work together. But just keeping it simple and just being consistent, doing it morning and night.
Okay. Now I do want to ask about this one particular one that I saw a few pictures, and it's me personally I want to ask, but but the one about the acne, it was something. What is that the new one about, where you put is it a green kind of because it's where you put it on and it actually sucks out whatever is in there.
Yes.
What is the name of that?
You might be referring to our charcoal mask.
Yes.
And
oh my goodness.
That is giving everybody life. In fact, I even have our 15-year-old son on that particular product.
Yes.
It does an amazing job of just putting a charcoal mask, and it's all the buzz with our company and all the beauty and health industry as it relates to skincare and body care. It is one of those treatments you put the mask on, and what it does is it helps to absorb all those different deposits that go into your skin throughout the course of a day. And then it helps to suck that out, for lack of a better term, and then it helps you to heal and reveals that next level of beautiful skin. So it's one of those products that you read the directions, and you do it like a couple times a week, depending on your situation, and then you get to just see the results. As soon as I tried it out, I was super excited about it myself, and I tried it out. I could actually feel a difference just by touching the texture of my skin from having done that process. So yes, that is my favorite.
Okay, the charcoal. Okay, because but with it, I just wonder too. You know how you see stuff too. You see the before and after pictures, and I was just like, "Is that real? You know, is that really happening? That's an after picture." So I was just like, I really want to try it. So yeah, so the charcoal.
Well, we'll have to make that happen for you.
Yes, please. Okay. Well, we're gonna segue into our topic. It's called Culture Vibes, and it's really, you know, keeping us abreast to pop culture and topics that may be trending, and we give our guests an opportunity to, you know, to speak on them. And so this particular one for today is recently, you know, Kevin Hart, he did a video that it was labeled Kevin Hart's Celebrity Challenge for Houston, where he called out some certain celebrity friends of his to donate money to the relief fund. And so Kevin himself, he started with challenging $25,000, and then eventually he upped it to $50,000, but he did start with the $25,000. And so many of his celebrity friends have done so, and even, you know, just other people, they've made it known that, you know, they did they did donate. However, Master P, he was not too happy about it, and he felt like, you know, he's blessed that Kevin Hart has given and made a donation, but he thinks that, you know, calling people out is not necessary to do that, and people should be allowed to give from their heart. And, you know, of course, with Master P, with the situation that happened in Katrina, and just, you know, that being his hometown as far as New Orleans and just Louisiana, the state itself. But he was just saying, you know, he remembered it was so familiar, that the people in Houston, some of the things they were going through. And so they're needing, you know, even more than just the money, is other things that they're needing too. And so I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that particular topic.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first, I have to be honest. I think Kevin Hart is hilarious. I think he's a funny guy by nature, and I like his work. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for Master P as well. I think that you have to kind of consider the place that Kevin Hart was coming from. He's a jokester. He's got a lot of celebrity friends, and I think the intent of his heart was to, and of course I don't know him personally, but to just evoke positive reactions from his friends, and to do it in a way that was sort of lighthearted in the face of something that was so serious, and just really kind of to get the ball rolling. I think that's where he was actually coming from. And I think the people he called out were people that he felt were well able to kind of meet the challenge. Now, with that being said, totally understand Master P's perspective on that, you know, you do want it to be just from the heart. You do want it to be not because somebody called you out in a challenge. I think that, and I agree with him on that. I totally see his perspective on that. But I think that in the circle of friends that Kevin Hart has, and that he is, you know, he kind of rolls with, so to speak, that they understood. And, you know, hey, it's like any challenge. You respond if you want. If you don't, you know, so be it. But I think if Kevin Hart was doing it to me or to you and challenging us to do 25,000, we probably would feel some type of way. But I think in the circle of friends that he has, that the intent was right, his heart was right. I don't think he meant it to shame anybody. But again, I do understand where Master P is coming from. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just glad that Houston is getting the help and the resources they need. We've got a lot of things happening here that we are doing to make sure that happens as well. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just as far as what you were saying too, with him just being lighthearted, one of the things, you know, even in Kevin's defense, he did say, you know, it's a lot of challenges that we've done, you know, on the internet. And he said, I've been a part of some that didn't make sense and some that did, you know what I mean? So he was like, let's get together on a serious note, like, let's do this. So I do respect him and both Master P, but I can see both sides, like you said, but it definitely was was, just like you said, with them getting the help they need, that really is the focus. So, we just perhaps continue to send prayers to Texas, period, and to other areas that were affected as well. And just, really pray that they get what they need also. So, absolutely. Well, good. Well, I wanted to kind of segue into the topic as it relates to worship and just your relationship with God. And, Tan, I know you have a love relationship with God. I've been able to see you in different settings and know that and know it's to be admired. And so I wanted you to share, when did that love affair with God begin?
Well, I do have a love affair. I do. It started when I was 5 years old. 5.
Okay.
I remember seeing someone go through the baptismal experience, and I knew I wanted that. I knew I wanted a part of that. I don't remember a time where I wasn't in fellowship with God. I really, really don't. And I don't say that to sound any sort of way, by no means. Truthfully, that's just how I've lived. Now, I was raised going to church, but not necessarily living it as a total lifestyle. But I think that early exposure made such a difference for me. And then on into my adulthood, I developed my own quest, if you will, to know more and to understand this relationship. How could you love someone unconditionally or love them enough to give up your own son for them? And as I began to see God manifest himself in my own life in different things that I would later face, it just deepened that relationship. And so as a part of my mission in life, I want to be that conduit. I want to be that connector point to help as many people as I can expose myself to encounter that kind of relationship so that they too can develop their own everyday relationship with God, because it's like none other. It's hard to even put into words what that fellowship is like. It's knowing that you are not alone and you'll never, ever be alone. And there's nothing that you faced or can face that he's not already prepared a way of escape for, that he's not already sent a team to work on your behalf. So, it started a long time ago, and I expect it to continue for a long time to come.
Yeah. So most recently, I would say this, even like you said, it started at 5. What, I guess, as it relates to as you continue to grow, as you matured and got older, how did his relationship impact you? I mean, even getting through kind of those teen years, getting through that young adult time, in those areas, it's like we're a bit challenged. But how did that relationship with God help you in those times to move through them? Yeah.
Absolutely. You and I have had offline conversations about kind of being the odd, just kind of being different, having that, and I think that having exposure early on and just having that connection point early on really helped me. Now, I will tell you, there were times as a teen, I was trying to do wrong. I was trying to go the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. I was trying, because you want to be accepted by your peers. You want to be in that crowd. And so even at that point, I can look back and I can know that God had his hand on my life. And I really believe that when I made a conscious decision, and people don't believe you can do it at 5 years old, but I believe it happened for me, that I made a conscious decision to accept him as my Lord and Savior, that from that moment on, he had his hand on my life. So even when I would be flawed in myself as a human, as a teenager, in those dating times, making choices that probably were not the best, he still had his hand on me, and he protected me from things that could have been to my detriment. He protected me from going in the wrong directions. I'll refer to one situation, and I'm sure we all can relate. Being a young teenager, infatuated, had my eyes on this guy that I should not have had my eyes on. But, I would love to see my phone light up. And, back then, you remember, we would have beepers and different little things. And so, or I would see his car in the neighborhood, and I was just infatuated. Now, he was every bit wrong. I mean, every check mark that you could have for a wrong warning sign, go the other way, he met all all of those.
Okay.
And so, but I still had this relationship with God. And then I remember, God just kept me from doing the wrong things, and he would always create truly a way of escape, for me not to have that interaction with this particular person. Mm-hmm. And so I remembered, I had this different crush on this guy at church. So I'm like, okay, well, the street guys are not working out, so let me try these Jesus boys. Mm-hmm. And so I'm over here, and this guy, he's just handsome. His family's in the church, but he never noticed me. So I said, okay. I kind of told my mom about it, and she was like, well, pray and tell God, what it is that you want, and that was the best advice ever, because my mother wasn't perfect by any means, and she wasn't Bible toting, Bible highlighting, but that was great advice. Mm-hmm. And so I prayed, and before you knew it, I met who would then become my husband. And I prayed for qualities. I didn't pray for all these other things, but I prayed for qualities and how I wanted to be treated. And in that, I was able to be kept so that I could be right for the man who would become my husband and the father of our children.
Wow. And just on the heels of that, let's go into the topic as it relates to marriage. When you talk about that with your husband, like, how did you know that he was the one?
Well, that is a funny story. Like I said, I prayed about who I would date and who I would be involved with, okay? So he comes into the scene, and it was so ironic. Saw him, told my girlfriend, I'm going to meet this guy. Another girlfriend, not knowing that I had said that, introduced us, not knowing I had any interest in him. So again, I really believe my life has always been ordered by God. And so ended up meeting him. Now, honestly, I was thinking when I met him over the phone at first, because you know how you do. You do the little phone thing first, and then you got to set up a time to meet. That's how we did it back in the day. Yeah. So anyhow, I thought he was just going to be some free movies and free dinners, going out. That was it. Before I could blink, we were in a full-on relationship. My family loved him. I loved his family. And it just moved forward. Wow. Now, I think that it was one of those situations where I wasn't trying to make something happen. I asked the guy for the outcome. I set my standards. And if he was going to be the one and part of my life, he had to conform to those standards, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And so because you always want somebody that's going to honor you while you honor them, and then eventually your husband who would honor you and love you like Christ loves the church. Right. And so he hit all those qualities. And so before we knew it, we had dated for 4 years and became engaged and have been married and walking this life out, a lifestyle of ministry along with our sons ever since.
Wow, that's pretty awesome, Tan. Wow. Well, what pearls of wisdom can you give in particular to a single woman who desires to be married one day, and maybe she's a bit anxious, and just real talk, for me, there was a time before where marriage used to be my idol at one point in time. It was kind of like that was the thing that you needed to do next, in order to be complete or whatever, or in order to do whatever. And in most recent years, I really began to embrace my singleness. And, I joked before about it in another episode where I was saying, singleness is not this holding cell for the gates of marriage, but you have to get to that place to understand that. And so I wanted you to share any pearls of wisdom, like I said, particularly to a single woman who is anxious about being married one day, and just to kind of share some advice with her.
Oh, I am so excited that you are giving me a chance to share on this one. This one, I don't know why, but it's so near and dear to my heart, because I see a lot of us making mistakes that we don't have to make, and really diminishing our value in pursuit of this ideal of a marriage. Some of the things that I would suggest or really encourage us as sisters to embrace is, number one, love you, own you, Determine who you are. Get to know you first. You know, and I know a lot of people listening might end up saying, well, I've done that. I've known me for 42 years now. I'm ready to know somebody else. I get it. But I promise you, one of the keys to a successful relationship and one of the most attractive things that a man comments on is your confidence in who you are. Just like we want a man who's already a man wants a woman who's already a woman. You're already confident. You're already making strides in your own life. You're already solid in who you are. Not that you just look like you have it together. You really are good. You really are good. You are confident you're comfortable in your own skin, and you're confident and bold about that. So that would be the first thing. Be bold, be confident, be happy with you. If you got a little extra tire around your waist, just go ahead and embrace it. Go ahead and embrace it while you're working on it, if that be the case. But embrace every part of you. You know, he will not complete you. He will not complete you. He will not fix all your problems. So go ahead and work on you. Get your credit together. Get your lifestyle together. Get the home that you want. Make the travel arrangements. Do the things you want to do. And that man will see you. That man, Boaz found Ruth. Ruth wasn't sitting in the closet, but she was out living life, and he found her. So go ahead and own your life. The second thing would be is don't focus so much on marriage. Yeah. God may have a different plan for your life in this season, and you're missing it because you're fixated on an ideal based on some Facebook pictures you've seen of other couples. Don't be overwhelmed with that. Live a life on purpose to please God, whatever that looks like. And I think that really goes back to total surrender to God. Give your whole life, every aspect of it, to him. And I would say the same thing to a woman who's waiting to have children or really in a special place in other areas. Give it all to God. Give it all to him and serve him with your whole heart. He knows what you have need of. He knows what your desires are. He will not withhold good things from you. But you're so fixated on that you're attracting and trying to make your own miracle. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. Oh, oh goodness.
That makes sense. And then if I could, one more thing. I know we're probably close for time, but another thing I would say is, are you marriage material? Are you marriage material? Are you compromising to accommodate, hoping it'll bring him in?
That's good.
I'll be extremely transparent in our own relationship. One of the key things was that if my husband, who was then a guy that wanted to date me, if we were going to be involved, and I was very, very young at the time, but even then I had my own set of standards. So if we were going to be involved, well, a lot of the time, I spent a lot of my time at the church house. Okay, so if you were going to be involved with me, you had to be involved with my life, which meant that you had to be okay with hanging out with my family. You had to be okay with Sunday morning service. You had to be okay with choir concerts. This was my lifestyle.
Yeah.
This was it. And so I wasn't going to compromise my standards. I'm not saying don't be flexible in a relationship, but I'm not going to go away from my standards to accommodate you on the hopes that you might be the one. No, I think a lot of myself, and it's not conceit, but I want all women to think a lot of yourselves because God thinks a lot of you. You know? Yeah. So we go to bed and we do wifey things before we get the license to do so. And I think that's a key mistake that we as women are making. We're selling ourselves way too short.
Yeah. Wow. That's good. No, that's it. What you said, don't do the stuff before the license.
Exactly. Because what is there to look forward to? And even in our relationship, we were very young, and we entered into a romantic relationship before we were married. Well, you do what you know to do, and then when you know better, you do better. So we became engaged, and we made a conscious decision that there would be no more sexual relations of any kind until we were married, because we wanted to invest in our marriage. So we wanted to protect that time. We recognized that the choices we had made were not of God, and so we made a decision that, okay, we're gonna hold ourselves pure and holy unto Him until we say I do as man and wife. And I believe firmly that has a lot to do with the success of our relationship.
Wow, that's good. That's good. And on the heels of that, like you were talking about, even with him, when you said, hey, I spend time with my family, I go to church. These are the things that I do. And so I wanted you to share, even as it relates to your family, why is family so important? Because those of us who know you are celebrating your family, definitely immediate family a lot on social media, which, that's what we can do, if we want to celebrate. But I wanted to know in particularly, why is family so important to you?
Well, Tasha, the reason that family is incredibly important to me is because I came from what you may consider a broken home. I don't see it that way. Those would not be my choice of words. I think I came from a home that was unique, and different. All of us our lives are woven together by different pieces. And so I was fortunate to see what I didn't want, and I was fortunate to see what I did want. And when I was blessed, as a result of that, I never wanted to be married, and I never wanted to have kids.
Okay.
Never wanted to be married, never wanted to have kids. But keep in mind, I gave my life to God when I was 5. So He had a legal right to step into my situation. So once I became married, that was just a natural migration. And then it was, we became pregnant.
Okay.
Years later. And once I became pregnant, something came over me. There was something so different that God would gift you with another life to support in this life, to guide in this life. And when I began to see that you have so much to offer, I just decided to celebrate my family and to really appreciate and value the family relationship. And so in our household, our youngest, he's our little athlete, so he plays sports a lot. So we kind of relate a lot of stuff to what it would be like to play on a team. We're a team, we're a unit, good, bad, or indifferent. We are in this, we're making it to the championship. So we work to celebrate each other and to have a really good time along the way, because family, at the end of the day, you can have a lot of money, but if you don't have family and you don't have love, and family looks different. It's not always just blood. It looks different. But if you don't have anybody else to share that with, what really have you accomplished? So that's kind of one of the things that we do, and we're big on it. My husband is really big on family. And my grandmother, I so admire you and so relate to you. My grandmother, Ruth Helen Thrash, was my very best friend, and she was the core of our family. And so many good things happened with her at the helm, and that's what I grew up knowing. Things got a little different as we became adults, but I wanted to give that gift back to my kids and my husband.
Wow. No, that's good. And a lot of times I see it being that way, when it comes to those generations, just how we were taught or how we were raised in that way, especially with our elders. I hear that a lot with different people. They talk about their grandmothers. And when you have that relationship, then, that's something that you just have a love. And that's, even for me, like I said, my grandmother, she taught me about faith, family, and community. And so that's why, each is so important in that way, wow, that's good stuff. And so I wanted to segue into the topic as it relates to sisterhood, and you've even shared before, just as it relates to just, and I talked about in the intro, about you supporting women, and I know you are a member of Delta Sigma Theta, and I would like for you to share, when did you decide to become a part of that particular sorority, and how has that helped you and your love for sisterhood even outside of the sorority?
Well, thank you. I was one of those people that's weird to say, it really is, but I just didn't like women. Let's just start there. Let's just be honest. I did not like
Well, tell
women.
us how you really feel, Tan. Tell us. Look.
I really did. They were too chatty. It was too much drama. I always got along so much better with guys. Just straight to the point, direct, boom, it's over.
Right.
Well,
just say,
but I liked being powerful.
Okay.
And so there was one lady, Anna C. McCrae. She was the organist at our church. You know how we have our home church. So she was the organist there. And my mind as a younger person, I was just, she had it together. She ran businesses. She was tough. She was classy. Just all of the above. So I admired that part and found out she was a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I just gravitated towards it. And I gravitated as I began to meet more women who were part of the organization and just saw the accomplishments in the community and what they've done politically and just all of this. It just resonated with me naturally as you know, who I was growing into becoming and who I was becoming as a young woman. And so I knew without a shadow of a doubt that would be the sorority. And then, of course, as I grew, I learned so much about what our organization represents and what it's about and what it does in the community and the lives of women and families and the economy and just so many other things. And so that was how I became connected and just really ran that race. But as far as supporting women, I have a deep-seated, it's the most ironic thing in the world. For me, a person who really didn't like women, period.
Right.
I mean, really, period. We don't have to hang out, none of that. I have the biggest heart and passion for women.
You do.
I really, really do.
You do.
It lights my fire to see us win. It really does. I think if I could just, not consider any other factors in life, if I could just wake up every single day and in some massive way impact the lives of women, I would close my eyes and go to heaven as a very satisfied woman. Very, very satisfied woman, because I can relate to so much. Yeah. And even the things I may not have firsthand experience in, I firmly believe that there's enough God in me to speak to the God in you, and together we can lock arm in arm and we can come up out of this. Whatever it is, we can fight it together. We can come up out of it and you will win. I just believe that. I just believe it.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Well, for the most part, but you really do, as it relates to supporting. I've always seen you be willing to just go the extra mile. And so that is to be admired. And I mean, it's amazing though that you said before you just did not you were just like, I just didn't like women. I just didn't. And so when you said it, I said, really? Because I'm like, you cannot tell. But no, you couldn't tell, and so I know, I mean, of course, with time and just really beginning to see people's hearts, because not every woman, of course, it thinks that way, or, they really want to see each other win. That's the case, but that's in any situation. But, for the most part, when you do, and you can surround yourself with like-minded women, and everybody's kind of celebrating what the next person does, and we don't have to compete, That's something that I love, and I just appreciate that. And you're definitely one of those people that I've seen to, like I said, to celebrate others. So that's beautiful. So it's good to see you change. We're so grateful that
I am too.
That you put away childish things, what they say, the old things of old experiences, and then you embrace the new ones. So good stuff. So good. I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to segue into our topic. It's called Mother-Daughter Bonds, and it is a series of questions that we like to help encourage conversations among mothers and daughters. However, I also believe that it's a good way for our audience to get to know our guest. And so, are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, the first question is, how did your relationship with your mother prepare you to become the woman that you are today?
Great question. My mother was a child interrupted. So she became a mother at 18 years old.
Wow.
And not me. So, okay. So my upbringing as a kid was unique because my mother and I did not have that mother-daughter bond relationship. We just didn't have it. And it was very, very challenging. Now, as an adult and a parent myself, I can truly look back and I have so much empathy. And we have a good relationship now. I call her my homegirl. And I love her dearly, and she knows that. But I look back, it would have been difficult for anybody to be 18 and to have all the answers to how to be a mom when you're not done being a kid.
That's
you know?
good. Yeah.
So what I did take away from my relationship with my mother is she is one of the strongest, toughest ladies that you're ever going to meet. She doesn't quit. She doesn't give up. She doesn't throw in the towel. And thankfully, I inherited so much of that from her. And I am extremely proud of the fight that she has in her and always looking for life to be better, looking for the next thing that's going to be better. One of the things I admire most about her is when it comes to, she has a natural gift to heal in terms of like if people are sick or really need you in that way, my mother is a great example of that. So that part of her, I began to understand and I began to appreciate as far as our relationship was concerned, because she is one that's going to be there for those that need her the most in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Good stuff. Well, the next question is, what book most influenced you?
Oh, well, it's a book by Leo Babutu, and it's called The Power of Less. Okay. This is a phenomenal read. I'm going to encourage you to pick the book up and check it out. It's a phenomenal read. It's one that you'll read over and over again, and it's about having more life and less stuff. I think that, we all like our name brands and all of this stuff, and I'm a girl in that regard, just like the next woman, but it's talking about valuing life and experiences versus stuff, and how stuff just can weigh us down. We're trying to get the next big house, the next big car, we're always on to the next, so much so that we don't really enjoy it. We don't really enjoy life. We don't enjoy the moment. We don't slow down enough. We just are running a race. And so it teaches you how to be more mindful, how to have a lot more peace, how to really enjoy moments and really live a life fulfilled. So it's a great, great read.
That's good. Perfect. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that one out. Well, what keeps you grounded?
I think one of the things that keeps me grounded the most is that I'm here to serve. Okay. I'm a part of a wonderful ministry at Church of the Highlands, and we're a community that really is very, very honest about our flaws, but while we're working on them, but that the biggest reason that we're here, the biggest purpose that I have in life is to help others, is to help somebody else along the way. And the thing that helps me to remain grounded is that I know, and I know it sounds kind of hokey or whatever, but it's the truth. I cannot do this life without Jesus. I cannot do this life without the Holy Spirit helping me and guiding me and telling me what to do. So it's so funny when I host an event or I speak someplace or I do something, people are always, just giving me all these sweet, nice compliments. But the reality is that I have such a fear of ever stepping outside of God's plan for my life or doing something without his hand on it, that I grab hold to God on everything. I don't want to do it without him. I can't. What you see is the Holy Spirit in me. It's not me. And so that's what helps me. It's like I know my little secret that if it was just up to me, this would be a hot mess. But because the Holy Spirit is the one that's really speaking, you just get to see me. So that's what helps me to stay grounded about who I really am.
That's good. No, that's good. Well, what are 3 qualities that got you where you are today?
I love the Lord, and he loves me back. And the second thing would be is that I'm straightforward. and I'm diligent. I don't like to say hardworking. I'm very diligent when it comes to something I really want to do.
Okay. Well, what question do you wish more people would ask you?
About my relationship with God.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like for more people, they compliment what they see.
Yeah.
But ask me, how did I get it?
Ah, okay now. That's good. What is the last thing that you binged watched?
Oh, okay. All right, calling me out. Carmichael's.
Oh, okay. Good stuff. That's good stuff. That's good. What is something that every woman should try once in her lifetime?
That's hard because it's one thing that I haven't tried, and I want to try it, and it's just one of those things I want to do. I want to jump out of a plane.
Okay.
So I would say something adventurous, and she just do it.
Good stuff. What superpower would you like to have?
Oh, now that's a good question. What superpower would I like to have? And it's funny you phrase it that way because I teach my children that when I first started teaching them about gifts and the Holy Spirit, I taught them to look at it and compare it to superpowers because, we used to always watch those shows.
Yeah.
And every character had a superpower.
Yes.
So, and it really helped. I know this isn't the question, but it really helped because when one wasn't doing very well, my oldest wasn't doing very well in certain things in school, and he'd maybe get a little down because maybe somebody else was, I reminded him we all have superpowers. And yours is this, theirs might be that, but we're all needed. So anyway, my superpower would be, I'm a fixer. So to be able to see a situation and instantly fix it without anybody knowing I did it.
Okay. I was thinking on the lines of Olivia Pope. I said, okay, the fixer comes in, nobody knows.
I like her, the good part of her.
Right.
But I am so Olivia Pope. I so am her. I am so her.
Like we just do it. We get in. I trust, like she said, I trust my gut, my instincts. It's so funny when she talks about that.
And we get in and I'm on it. I just love it.
It's handled. We got it. I love it. What would you say to a woman with a broken heart?
Forgive the offense.
Okay.
Let it go, and don't let it hold you hostage.
All right. What would a perfect day for you look like?
Oh, on the beach with my 3 men, and most of my fat not showing.
That's what's up. I love it. If you could talk to one person from history, who would it be and why?
Harriet Tubman.
Why?
Because I would want to know what gave her the strength to go forward. What gave her the strength to do what she did? How did she come up with it? What were her thoughts and how did she feel at the time?
It's good. And what's the most important lesson that you've learned in the last year?
That I am enough. I'm just fine the way I am. My subjects and verbs don't have to agree. I'm loud. It's okay. I'm straightforward. It's okay. I am enough.
That's good. Awesome. Well, we're going to segue into community service, and this is an opportunity for you to share, ways that you're giving back to the community.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited about that. I am part of Church of the Highlands, and we do a lot of things in ministry through that avenue. But I don't know what it was this time when the hurricane happened in Houston. Something about that just ripped at my heartstrings. It just not tugged. It just was aggressive. So I work a daytime job, and so at that company, I instantly got in touch with the GM, and I said, "Here's what I want to do." And because I lead a team there that is basically a social team that's good about morale and all that, I had that audience with him. He was instantly behind it. And so what we are doing is we are putting together hygiene packets for the people in Houston. So things that we don't always think about: toothbrush, deodorant, for our ladies, personal goods, for our babies, diapers and wipes, and I'm going to attach little notes there, here and there, just to let them know you were loved, you were thought about. And so that is the thing that I'm doing right now that I'm most excited about. And one thing we've done in the past as a family is we've driven around to where a lot of our homeless community would be found, and we've given out hats and gloves and different things to just try to make things a little bit better for them. And we just did that as a family. But right now, the thing I am most excited about is what we're doing for Houston.
That's awesome. And see, that was another way, when we were talking about earlier about what Master P was saying, other things that they need. And so, yeah, you can do the money, but, there are going to be people to buy certain things with that. But that personal touch with what you are doing with the resources that you have and you all have collectively put together, I just, that to me, like, that's a special something, It's a little different touch.
This is an employee initiative. It's not corporately funded. The company itself is doing its own thing, but this is us out of our paychecks, out of our hearts. We're physically putting them together. So I am so excited about that. I could almost cry. I'm just so excited about that.
That is super awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we're going to move into our faith segment, and it definitely is an opportunity for you to share a time when your faith has been tested and how you came through it. And in this segment, it pretty much is a way to encourage others, to let them know that they're not alone.
Okay. Well, one instance that stands out the most, and is one I hold all the time, is when we had our first son. I mean, all the feelings that you have with a child, their first one, you're so excited, and they're just going to be perfect in every way, and they're going to be the president of the United States. I mean, you just see all of that for them.
Well, I love it.
We do. You know.
You do.
We held our little peanut. Well, one evening he was in our room. He had a little bit of a cold. He was still a baby, and so I'm a hard sleeper, but it's something about being a mom, So I heard him like with this sound. And so I woke up and I saw him, and I woke my husband up, and he had a little foam coming out of his mouth. And so we called the paramedics. They said that it was probably congestion from the cold, and just make sure he sleeps on his side. I had never been exposed to anybody who had seizures before, but I instantly knew it was a seizure. I don't know. Well, I do know how I knew, but I instantly knew it was a seizure.
Yeah.
Well, shortly thereafter, we were in Lifeway Christian Bookstore, and at that time, his godparents lived here in Birmingham, and he and I were in the bookstore, in which the bookstore is still one of his favorite places to go even today at 15 years old.
Wow.
He was in there, and he just went down on one side and just started leaning down to the ground. Well, he was having a seizure. Okay? So, call the paramedics. All of that happened. He was out for over an hour. Mm-hmm. And so, moving forward, they said, we cannot determine what is causing this in him, but he is having seizures. We're going to give him a little medication. Hopefully, he'll grow out of it. Kids do this sometimes. Well, got him home, life is going on. He's on this medication for this period of time. Mm-hmm. Well, I would see him have a seizure episode. And it is the most painful thing as a new mother, to see your sweet little one having something happen to their body. It takes control over the body, and it's nothing you can physically do about it.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So I would stretch my hand out, and I would decree and declare his healing, and I would start thanking God for his healing, because I had already prayed for him to be healed. But I say, tears rolling down my face, my hands out on my baby. Lord, I thank you that he is free from seizure, sickness, and disease. I thank you that he is healed, healthy, and whole in every way possible. Yeah. I thank you he's the head and not the tail. Thank you, Lord, that he lives a life that's a testimony before others. That's what I would pray.
Yeah.
Every single time. I have you know that after some time, he was offered the medication in short order. He has never had any more since that time.
Wow. That's beautiful. A
And
mother's
that's me
love.
holding on to the word and speaking it despite what I saw.
Yeah. It really is. It's definitely something about a mother's love, like you were saying too, and just that is a true testament of faith. Standing on like even the times when you didn't see the full manifestation to be able to continue saying it. So that's
Oh,
beautiful.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
we went to the neurologist. It was all because there's a lot in between,
Yeah.
and there's where you're at the doctor. What does this mean? What does that mean? They're going to do this study and that study. You're going through, and that's what I want to say right here is that a lot of times because of what we go through in between, see, because God stands outside of that. There's the situation or circumstance, and then there's going to be stuff in between. But in the end, we win. There's no if, and, or but about it. That's just the way it's set up. But it's what we do in the in-between time that either moves us forward to the win or slows us up. And so that was a lot, it was a short recount of the situation, but it was the things we did in the meantime. We didn't say what they said. We said what we believed.
That's good, Tan. Thank you for sharing that with us. Wow. That's good. Okay. Well, we're going to move into our closing segment, and it's called Matters of the Heart Moment. And the first question is, if you had the opportunity to speak to your 4-year-old self, what would you say to her?
You got this. You are phenomenal. You got this. You're bold and confident. You're just right for the job. You got this.
That's good. And who inspires you?
There were two people. My grandmother was my very best friend, and her name was Ruth. Well, she had a lot of names, let's just say. But it took a few marriages to get it right, but that's okay. Right. So, my grandmother Ruth, and she was the most giving person. I learned how to give from her. I would see, her house rather was the house that everybody came to, and everybody was welcome to be there. And I would see people come, and at the time I didn't even know we were supposed to be less fortunate. I didn't know that she was on fixed income, whatever that was, because it never came out of her mouth. Never. Yeah. And you would come to her house and leave with a plate. There was always enough food, and she would others would come and they would leave with the brown bag ever so neatly folded, and you would ask her, Grandma, what was that? What was that about? And she would say, Meros Kestameller. Don't ask me what it is or whatever. It's just a word she made up. And so that meant that's not your business. It's not for you to know. We later realized that she was giving away clothes and shoes to people in need out of her own, things. And so she's the person that influenced me the most. She taught me how to give, how to be strong. I mean, she was just everything to me. The second person was Lillian P. Shaw. She was my 5th grade teacher. She would call me out of the classroom, and she would walk up and down the hall, and she'd do this muttering thing. And I didn't know what it was. And she eventually told me, so after a while, and she would just grab me and tell me to come walk with her. We wouldn't talk. She would just do this muttering thing. Well, after a while, I asked her what it was. And she said, I'm praying in tongues. And I said, well, what's that? How do you know what you're saying? I mean, keep in mind, I'm in 5th grade, and I was a Baptist. So I'm like, what are you talking about? How you know what you're saying? And so I didn't understand it. But at that point, as an adult, I realized she was the person that introduced me to praying in the Spirit. And she was walking down that hall, and I just believed that the Holy Spirit had led her to have me on that experience for a reason.
That's good. What is the best pearls of wisdom that you have ever received?
That's a good one, because I have so many great people in my life who've given me great advice. I would say to take care of yourself. Because you can't do anything for anybody else unless you take care of yourself. And then they explained, and they've lived by example, showing me what that looks like.
It's good. Well, is there any last minute comments that you'd like to share?
Yes, I want to thank you and your audience for giving me this opportunity. I really hope this reaches millions of listeners and that it makes a positive impact. I want to celebrate you. I want to encourage you to keep going. I so admire your tenacity and what you do for those around you, and your forward thinking, your ability to look ahead and think and hear about what needs to be done next, and your courage to do it. So thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for being my sister girlfriend.
I know. Thank you so much, Tan. I appreciate that. It really means a lot when those who they've actually had that space with you, and they've shared and they've watched you, and they can see, and then they be able to share that with you. So I'm grateful for you saying that. Even to our audience, that means a lot. And I want to thank you again for being with us and just sharing with us today a piece of your world. So thank you again.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Awesome. Well, our goal at the Flora Pearl Foundation is to always be a blessing to all of those that we come in contact with by operating with the spirit of excellence. We want to thank you all so much for listening today, and you can visit our website at www.florapearlfoundation.org. We look forward to spending time with you all each week, and we will talk to you soon.